The following is an excerpt from Dash and the Fibonacci Fungus by Seth Daugherty, illustrated by Adam McGuire. Rudy sat across from me the next day at lunch, just like she had the previous few days. I looked forward to lunch period now, unlike before, when I normally sat by myself and ate quietly. I still wondered why she never sat with her other friends or other girls on the track team, but I wasn't confident enough to ask her. "How's your finger?" "Not too bad, a little swollen." "Glad to hear it." The smile on her face indicated that she was genuinely glad. "Do you have a bike at Chief's house?" "Yeah, Chief got it from my house and brought it over a few days ago." "Cool, let's go for a ride after we get home, unless you think that swollen finger is going to throw off your balance too much." She scrunched her eyebrows down low and held her chin with her thumb and index finger, like she was giving me an examination. She was teasing me, I think. "I should be okay. Might want to restock your bandage supply, though, just in case." "Already did." She patted her jacket pocket, where I now knew that she kept her bandages. After school, we walked home together and retrieved our wheels. She had a purple mountain bike, which was pretty new based on the cleanliness of the tires. My bike, on the other hand, was a very old, olive-colored road bike. It was actually my dad's childhood bike that he had saved all these years. My mom would sometimes get annoyed with my dad's inability to throw out old things, but in this case I was happy because this was a pretty cool bike. It had that retro quality that you just didn't see in new bikes. "Now that is a sick bike," Rudy agreed with my assessment. "Thanks. Where should we go?" Rudy suggested we head downtown, so that's where we went. Downtown Euclid was pretty cool. For about 4 blocks on Main Street, the original cobblestone street is still intact. This made for a very bumpy ride past all the small family-owned establishments: Mike's Bikes, Groovy Donuts, Rise and Shine Coffee, Pizza Barn, and Smitty's, the old clothing store that was celebrating its 100th anniversary. The difference in our bicycles was most notable here. Rudy's mountain bike cruised over the bumps and crevices almost silently, while my bike rattled and squeaked with every protrusion. We parked our bikes at the Rise and Shine and popped in quickly to get a couple of lemonades. "Let's go sit over by Poop Man," Rudy suggested. We strolled across the street to the corner of Main and Cherry Streets, where there was a large fountain with a statue of the town's namesake, the renowned geometer Euclid. The statue is usually covered in bird poop, and it's sort of a running joke that most Euclid residents don't even know who Euclid was, referring to him as Poop Man. As a big fan of Euclid's works, I can't help but cringe a little bit when I hear this moniker. Sitting by the Euclid fountain wasn't as glamorous as it sounds. These days, it is typically kept watch over by a group of very loud, very aggressive crows. Almost immediately after we sat down to drink our lemonades, they started in on us. "Caw-caw! Caw-caw!" Ugh, I forgot about these jerks. Rudy moved to a cement bench a little further away from the fountain. Having no affinity for the crows myself, I happily followed. "Check it out." I motioned for Rudy to watch a developing situation over by the fountain. A group of sparrows was camping out in a nearby tree. One by one, they would fly over to the fountain, trying to grab a quick bath. Each time, they were immediately chased off by the bully crows. "We should do something." Rudy stood up, but didn't seem to have anything planned out past that. "I agree," I said, standing up in solidarity. "I have an idea." "Lay it on me, idea man." "We need some popcorn or chips, something like that." "The coffee shop has little bags of those popcorn chips next to the register. Let's go grab some." We went back to the coffee shop and got 2 bags. Rudy paid for these, as the lemonades had been my treat. "Okay, follow me," I directed, and we tiptoed over to the fountain. I strategically opened my bag of chips slowly as we proceeded around the front side of the fountain and motioned for Rudy to do the same. We had definitely captured the crow's interest, as evidenced by a chorus of hungry-sounding caw-caws. Now I veered off from the fountain and walked over to the other side of the street with Rudy in tow. "Okay, let's see if this works. I'm going to count to 3, and then we will dump out all of our chips. If I'm right, we're going to have to run back over to the other side of the fountain before we get decapitated by these crows." Rudy nodded in agreement. 1, 2, 3! We dumped out our chips and bolted back across the street to the bench where we had originally been sitting. As predicted, the crows furiously left their perches on Euclid's shoulders and head and began to devour the unexpected gift. In the meantime, the sparrows saw their opening and migrated as a group over to the fountain to enjoy a quick bath. Success! Rudy pumped her fist in the air. Feels good, doesn't it? It sure do. Alas, it was short-lived. The crows made quick work of the chips and were soon screaming at the sparrows, chasing them back to their tree. But I like to think we gave them exactly what they needed and that they were satisfied.